to Cliff, when I'm talking to Robert, I want to be like them. I see their wives and their kids and their fruitfulness. I see how happy are, how healthy are they, how they're running to their neighbors, how they're loving. That's what I want to be like. When I was with him, it was the only time in my life where I was begging God for this to be done. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I felt like I couldn't breathe around him. And so I tried to have a really healthy, proper conversation, and this man only wanted to show me who's boss and hammer on me the things of, and it was just didn't feel like it was holy.
All right, thank you for joining me on this video, and we are going to dive into some interesting content today. As you guys know, some months ago, Sam Shamoun supposedly went on the George Janko podcast and had a conversation about some things about the Eucharist and things like that. I guess in the past, George Janko made some statements concerning the Eucharist that definitely didn't fall on deaf ears. And many people had a problem with his explanation and his critique of the Eucharist. And so many people were saying, "Oh man, you should get somebody else on that's really knowledgeable in this area." And so I think he went and got Alex from Voice of Reason, or I don't know if Alex is from Voice of Reason anymore since the most recent allegations. But all that said, Alex from Voice of Reasons went on the George Janko show and apparently sat down with him. But many people criticize Alex from Voice of Reasons because they say that he wasn't tough enough or he wasn't hard enough for George Janko. And one of those individuals who critiqued him and went in on Alex was Sam Shamoun. And so eventually George Janko got in contact with Sam Shamoun. Sam Shamoun came on George Janko's podcast, and George Janko has over 1 million subscribers. So yeah, you get that. So, and so this is a big deal, right? This is a big deal that Sam Shamoun was invited onto George Janko's podcast. And so in this podcast, apparently there was some issues there. Right. And eventually George Janko and his peoples came out and said, well, the podcast won't be released. It will never come out. And so apparently there was something happened and nobody knew what happened until recently. George Janko actually appeared on the Ruslan's channel, and they actually went in and talked about what actually happened during that. Obviously, prior to this conversation, there was a whole bunch of speculation of what happened, why we won't see it. And even if you went and visited Sam Shamoun's channel, which I did, after the conversation, Sam Shamoun pretty much went on and said, look, I went on George Janko's show, but they're not going to release the footage. They're going to release it. Then, typical Sam Shamoun behavior. He began to slander George Janko. He began slandering other people associated with George Janko. And so we had a big hoopla, a big problem with it, right? And so a lot of it was real mute, and nobody really talked about why the content was not being released. But until now, Ruslan has sat down with George Janko and they actually went through why the conversation was never released on podcast or released to the public. And so now we're about to dive into it. And so that's the video we're going to we're going to interact with today. And so let's jump right into this video, right?
Guests that you've had on that you were like, oh, I don't know if something didn't come out. We're not going to talk about Sam Shamoun, but anything else that didn't come out or whatever, where you're like, I don't know if I should have did this one, or I don't know, stuff that didn't make it. How about that? Guests you've had on that never came out.
Just Sam.
Okay.
That was the only one. Sam was, I never even talked about it. We're going to talk about Sam. I'll just be super, super honest and upfront.
And you know how big it is? Sorry, I paused the video so soon, but you know how big of a statement that is? Where Ruslan asked him, has there ever been anybody that came to your show where you didn't release the footage, or you never released it? Mind you, George Janko's been doing this for a long time, right? Obviously, he was on the podcast with Logan. I forget his name. I forget his name, but that's what. But then George Janko departed from that and created his own podcast where he interviews and discuss and converse with predominantly people within the evangelical Christian paradigm. Outside of Johnny Chang. I think Johnny Chang is a complete heretic, but nonetheless, he conversed with Johnny Chang and a whole bunch of other people. But that's besides the point. My point is that for the Sam Shamoun interview to be the only one in all the work that he has done, the only interview that George Janko did not release, that says That says a lot, right? That says a lot. Out of all the production George Janko has done, Sam Shamoun's the only one. That says a lot about Sam Shamoun and the negative sense of Sam Shamoun. That says a lot about him. That's really bad. Really bad.
Right.
Okay.
Before I say anything about Sam, I do love him. I want him to prosper. I want him to go preach. I think
very
he
lovable.
does amazing things for the community of God. And you know, all of us, we have like faults and stuff. And it was just a weird thing. So this is my perspective. Anybody else, you could say what you want, do what you want, act how you want. But this is just from my perspective. The Eucharist situation happened. My church is not happy with me. Did I make a mistake? A huge mistake. I'm trying to express how I'm feeling, what I'm going through, what I'm learning. And I used a word that offended people. Now my heart's broken because I'm like, bro, like these people are like taking it the wrong way. Like that's not what I meant. And but that one I deserved the smoke for. Like I should have been a little bit more respectful. And to be honest, I'm blessed that I went through that because it gave me a lot of like wisdom to be very, very cautious with my words. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so I'm praying and I'm like, God, I want somebody to come and show me in the Bible verses and all that stuff. And so I knew about Sam Shamoun because I would watch his videos online. And I also know about Sam Shamoun because I'm a Syrian, he's a Syrian.
And he's local to you.
Yeah. And this is just me being honest. I'm just telling you how it is. I don't want anybody to be disrespectful or not disrespectful, like think I'm lying or anything like this. Is just, I promise, this is my perspective. I don't even announce that I'm going to have him because I don't do that. I have the conversation, and if the conversation works out, then I post about it. He posts about it immediately. Hey guys, I'm going on the George Janko show. So I was like, all right, no big deal. You know, like it gets the people excited. Like that's totally fine. I'm excited about it too. And he's such a powerful speaker. Unfortunately, I had like so many people call me and said, hey dude, don't put him on your show. You were one of them. If you want to ask the real questions, you were one of them, and don't put me out there like you weren't.
George, I like how George did that though. He threw Ruslan right under the bus. But that's fascinating that Ruslan is one of them that called and said, don't have Sam on the show. Because if I understand correctly, Ruslan, if you see this video, you can correct me, but Ruslan was the one that recommended Sam on the Fresh and Fit debate where Sam Shamoun and Jay Dyer teamed up to debate the two Muslims. So that's amazingly fascinating that in this instance, Ruslan said, nah, don't post him. Don't bring him on, because I think this is after Sam Shamoun crashed out on Use Ruslan. And so this is another indication of how corrosive Sam Shamoun is. So Sam Shamoun is so acidic. He is so corrosive to every single relationship that he has. It's absolutely insane. Here it is, an individual, Ruslan, who is doing amazing things within the Christian paradigm on YouTube. Very popular, has all kind of connections. Why would you burn that bridge? Why would you burn that bridge? Sam Shamoun destroys relationships like no other. He absolutely does. And here it is, Ruslan, who is open to connecting people with other people, told, hey, don't post him. Don't bring him on. That is wild to me. That is wild. That just shows you the level of how corrosive he is. Sam Shamoun is extremely corrosive, and this does nothing but show that, because now Ruslan is even saying, nah, don't post him. Don't bring him on, Janko. Don't bring him on, George. Don't bring him on. But let's see what George says.
You were one of them, and so many other people that are his friends, and I'm not going to be disrespectful and say their names because I'm not in their face, but I'll call you out because you're here.
Yeah.
But there's so many
Well,
people.
let me add a little context.
No, you don't get this, you peed. This is my time. And and then what did I tell you? I said, everybody has a chance to come and show themselves. And I was honest, and you said, dude, that's really cool of you.
Yep.
Okay. So I invite this guy into my home. Within the first few seconds, he said a lot of disrespectful things. And I'm
just
like,
on the podcast or just coming into your
camera.
home?
He was just saying some weird things like, oh, look at the money you have, huh? Yeah. Like it was just weird. Like he was just saying some comments, and it was just, I already felt like he wasn't there for a good reason. But I'm like, okay, whatever, we'll have the show. We're having this conversation, and he's doing what he's always doing. He's just trying to bulldoze me. And in my opinion, like, you're not going to bulldoze me in my faith. Like, if you want to show me your faith,
You're not going to bulldoze me in my home.
No, I don't mind that. You could bulldoze me. I'm just saying you're not going to nudge me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to learn. I want to learn from you. I'm not here to debate with you. I don't know about the topic. I see it from my perspective. Now he says that I'm emotional. He says, oh, he's all about emotions. I am.
And so, two things here, and I want to allow George to finish his thought there, was that, one, you don't come into somebody else's home and be disrespectful. To come up in there and talking about, oh, look all the money you got. And you know, Sam Shamoun, very sarcastic, very arrogant, very narcissistic type of attitude. And so you don't come up to nobody home being disrespectful. You don't know George. You don't know George. George is trying to give you a chance. He's trying to give you a chance. He's trying to go against the grain of what people are saying about you, right? He's trying to give Sam Shamoun a chance, an opportunity to sort of prove everyone wrong, right? And here it is, right off the jump, Sam jumps in there and is disrespectful. He's disrespectful, right? Talking crazy. Instead of just going in humbly and being thankful, like, thank you so much for the opportunity, George. You know, hopefully we can, you know, converse and have a solid conversation. Instead of coming there like on a respectful tip, you come in that man's home disrespecting and being weird. Off to a bad start immediately. Off to a 100% bad start immediately.
Based off of everything of love and respect, of course I'm going to be emotional. Now, does that mean I only base everything off of emotion? No, but I would say stuff like, well, what do you think? I'm like, well, I feel about this. And he'd be like, oh, feelings. And he would always cut me off and just never let me speak. So I just sat there for an hour just listening to him.
And that's rude. As someone who's coming into someone else's home, you are to be receptive. And this is why I think Alex, the voice of reason, wasn't aggressive. Alex, the voice of reason, understood, like, hey, you know, this is not my crib. This is not my home. This is not me. I'm a guest in this man's podcast. So I'm going to be chill. I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to answer the questions that he has. And hopefully this helps him do further studies. That's how Alex approached it. Sam Shamoun, on the other hand, going around calling people emotional and things like that, bro, like, you're one of the most emotional individuals in this whole world, bro. Like, what is you talking about? Any inference of someone disagreeing with you, Sam, you are about to crash out and act a complete, utter fool. You act a fool continuously, Sam. So this idea, oh, you're being emotional, George, you're being emotional. No, Sam, you're emotional. You have emotional issues. Once again, I've always pointed this out. Sam, you need help. Sam Shamoun needs mental help. He needs emotional help. He's going through things that he doesn't want to disclose. He needs help. He needs help. The man needs help. And you can't call nobody else emotional, especially if you're literally the definition of emotion. You are hyper emotional and narcissistic as well.
And in his videos, he was saying he was demolishing me. I had Robert there. As soon as he started being disrespectful to Robert, I asked him to leave. Because you could be rude to me. And by the way, he was being rude to me in front of my wife, in front of everybody. I didn't mind it. But he kept calling Robert a fool. And so then I asked him, I said, dude, like, if you think we're fools, which we might be fools. But if you think we're fools, why would you not just explain it to us? Why are you yelling at him and saying mean things to him? And he says, well, no, if he's going to act like a fool, he's going to be a fool. And then I was like, do you think that's how Jesus would want you to preach? Mm-hmm. And then he started telling me that Jesus would cuss people out and do all these things and stuff like that. So he says, if Robert's going to talk, then this conversation's over. And so I said, okay, well, then with all due respect, we're done here. And I shake his hand. As I went to go close my audio thing, it was wiped. Mm-hmm. So he said that we ended the conversation because of the audio thing. Mm-hmm. That was not true. And to be honest, for a man to go preach the word of God and lie like that, that was really weird to me. And then I'm seeing him post thumbnails. I haven't said a word yet because I still respect him and I don't want to disrespect him. I haven't said a word yet, and he's made 5 videos about me, smashing my head, saying that he beat me, did all these things, and reading our text messages and framing them in ways. It was weird. And so I texted him. I said, hey, bro, like, I don't feel comfortable talking to you. Like, you just go. Like, it felt like, you know what it felt like? It felt like he wanted to show the world who he was, and he didn't care if I was saved or not.
Wow. That is crazy talk right there. That is wild. Not saying George is crazy. He's not crazy, but just what George said. That's wild. That's wild. So a couple things here. First, you don't come to nobody house disrespecting his peoples, right? He disrespected Robert. I don't know who Rob is. I have no idea who Rob is. Maybe Rob is a production guy. Maybe it's a guy behind the scene. Maybe he's one of the executive producers of George Janko's show. But you don't come in there disrespecting his people. You just don't. And this idea of like, oh, I destroyed George Janko. Fool, dude, that's the foolishness of Sam Shamoun, right? He has this idea that everything is in a debate, is in debate form. Is that all he knows? Does he not know how to sit down and do an interview? What's going on with this guy, right? Everything is, George, he clearly said that he wants to know. He wants you to educate him, right? And then you keep cutting him off. Like, that is just simply rude, man. That is not your platform. That is not your place. You don't go around cutting him off. It's not a debate, man. It's not a debate. George is literally asking you to help him understand something. That's literally what he's asking Sam to do. And so this idea that he can disrespect people in their home, he disrespected George in front of his wife, he disrespected George's people, like his production crew. Like, what the heck is going on with this dude, Sam? Disrespectful, right? He's so disrespectful. And finally, what he said that he got the impression that Sam didn't even care if he was saved or not, right? He didn't care. That's the impression that George got. And that should hit to the heart of anybody who calls themselves a Christian. The first thing we should do is make sure people understand that as a Christian, I care for your salvation. I care if you are saved. I care if you're in a relationship with Jesus. I care. That should be the utmost important thing that a Christian should want. And that is what we pursue, to let people know that we care. Not only do we care for you, we love you, but we also care more about your salvation. We want you to be saved. And that should be the key. Once again, George Janko is a new Christian in the faith, guys. He's new. And he admits that in this particular clip with Ruslan. He's new to the faith. So someone who is 60 years old, like Sam Shamoun, acting a complete fool in someone's home to basically a new convert, a new believer, does nothing to help him. It does nothing to build George up and make him better. If there's anything that George did get better at, if I could say maybe one thing, is that to not invite Sam Shamoun on no more, not to trust him no more, right? Because it's disrespectful. Then he goes around making all of these memes and thumbnails. I've seen some of them too, where he's disrespectful. This dude is incredibly disrespectful. And so I don't understand how all the Catholic apologists out there, those who are mainline Catholic apologists, don't say anything to this guy, Sam Shamoun. Say something, please. Please. Please say something to this guy. Someone needs to tell him to get out of there. He's a horrific representation of the Catholic faith. He's just horrible. He's a horrible representation. And he does nothing for you guys. Please, I mean, I'm like, man, I don't know how people tolerate this guy and continue to platform him, right? I don't know how. Speaking of you, camera Pertuzzi, camera clickbait, you do it. You platform the guy. You like platforming these kind of guys, man. It's good for clickbait.
And so I respectfully didn't want to have the conversation. By the way, and not that many people know this, we had times to go and do another one. I asked him, I said, hey, if Robert's bothering you next time, come and we'll do it on home. But because how he treated me, how he spoke about me, how he spoke about what God is doing in my life, he was going on rants and being so disrespectful. I took a moment and I asked God, I said, God, what do you want me to do here? I asked God, I said, God, how do you want me to deal with this? Do you want me to retaliate? Do you want me to speak about this? And I'll never forget him in this prayer I'm feeling. He just asked me, do you want his fruits? And I said, there's not a single plant or fruit that man has that I want anything of.
Wow. That is an incredible statement, because as someone who has mentored new believers in the faith, right? Someone who has encouraged new believers in the faith and sort of walked them through theology and things like that. One of the compliments that I typically get, and this is not me tooting my own horn, one of the compliments that I typically get is that, hey, Martin, man, thank you so much. You know, you're a great help, right? I can see your fruit of your salvation. Marlon, I one day I hope to be, as knowledgeable as you. I got the compliment, hey Marlon, you're one of the smartest people that I know, man. You're so helpful in these areas. Like, these are things that baby Christians, those who are not necessarily matured in the faith, has expressed to me. And this is not me tooting my own horn. My point is that when you're dealing with someone who is as new to the faith as a George Janko, and someone like a Sam Shamoun comes on, and if George Janko comes to the conclusion that he doesn't want any of your fruit, like there is nothing of you that he wants, that's a bad indication on you, right? For any new believer to come at someone who's more senior in the faith and almost look up to as a mentor in some capacity, and they walk away from that potential mentorship as not wanting any of your fruit, that's bad. That's bad. One of the primary things that we should want as a believer who's been in the faith for quite some time is people desiring to glean from you or to learn from you, right? Our duty as a Christian, as mature Christians, is not to be a information hoarder or a fruit hoarder, if you will, to where we're retaining everything to ourselves, right? That's why I look up to guys like Dr. James White, right? That's why I look up to guys like Anthony Rogers. That's why I look up to guys like people I've interviewed over the years, some of these senior guys, Dr. Edward Dalcour, like some of these guys, Vocab Malone, like that's just some of the few of guys that I look up to. These guys have been doing for a long time, and I respect them highly. And yes, there are many aspects of these guys that I look up to that I do want some of their fruit. I want to be in some way has some of their abilities, right? I want the spirit, the fruits of the spirit that they have. I want that. The patience that some of these guys have. I want that. The ability to show love through apologetics. I want that, right? I want that stuff, right? And so here it is. We have George Janko who's looking at a Sam Shamoun, and he said he don't want any of that fruit. Any of it. Any of it. That's crazy work right there. That's wild. That's wild talk right there. Not on the part of George, man, but not on the part of George. It's not wild that he would even say that, but it's wild that that's the conclusion that George would come to because of his experience with Sam Shamoun. Bro, Sam Shamoun is the worst, man. He is the worst. He has the worst temperament. He has the worst attitude. And the very fact that he doesn't understand what he's doing and the damage that he's doing and how he's not helpful in any regard, the fact that he doesn't see that is even more crazy, even wilder, right? That's crazy that he doesn't see the damage that he's doing. But this all falls back to Sam Shamoun's narcissism. He's a very narcissistic individual. And so what's interesting is that Sam spent time on his stream right after this video came out calling Janko and Ruslan narcissists and clout chasers. What? First of all, Ruslan's doing way better than you in subscriptions and all that he does. You're clout chasing Ruslan, if anybody. And George Janko's obviously got over millions of viewers, subscribers, and he's doing way better than you as well, Sam. So the only person that's clout chasing is you. You are the clout chaser. George Janko don't need you. Ruslan don't need you either. You're the clout chaser. Hands down, you're the clout chaser. And so this is bad, man. This is bad for someone not to desire to have some of what other people have. Like, man, Lord, bless me. Give me the strength that you give Anthony Rogers, like the ability to study and retain information. Like, these are the things that, yeah, the Christian, we're not boasting about these individuals in the sense that we want to be just like them, but certainly there are aspects of like, man, I really appreciate that about Anthony, or I really appreciate that about, I don't know, Dr. Edward Dalcour. I really appreciate that about him, right? I really appreciate that about a David Wood, and that's something I want to glean from, right? That's what we should be looking to.
Like, he doesn't seem happy. He doesn't seem like he has love in his life. Every single person that he works with called me and apologized. All of the people that he did rooms with, I'm not going to mention, obviously. I'll mention you because you're in this room. Many people try to get me not to work with this guy. but I try to work with him because I love and I respect everybody, and I want to have a conversation with everybody. I will have him back on the show. I will say this out loud. I will have him back on the show. I would love to have a conversation with him, but he has to come with respect. There's no reason to come with that much disrespect. Even if me and you don't see eye to eye, there's no reason for you to call me words or say stuff about mothers or go eat vomit, or these are not, like, when I'm talking to Cliff, when I'm talking to Robert, I want to be like them. I see their wives and their kids and their fruitfulness. I see how happy are, how healthy are they are, how they're running to their neighbors, how they're loving. That's what I want to be like. When I was with him, it was the only time in my life where I was begging God for this to be done. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I felt like I couldn't breathe around him. And so I tried to have a really healthy, proper conversation. And this man only wanted to show me who's boss and hammer on me the things of, and it was just didn't feel like it was holy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt like Pharisees.
Yeah. Yeah. And
wow. I mean, that is crazy. That's just wild, man. He said he didn't want no part of him. He said when he looked at Cliff Connectual, I don't know how to pronounce that man's last name, but from Give Me an Answer, the guy that does ministry at college campuses, he looked at him and said, that's what I want to be like. I want to have fruit. I want to have family. I want to have all these things, right? He looked at them and he gleaned from them. That's what we should want as mature Christians. We should want that from the younger generation, to be able to look at your life and glean from it, right? And unfortunately, he didn't get that from Sam Shamoun, right? He got found. He said that Sam seemed not to have love in his heart. He seemed to be just angry. He doesn't like the idea that Sam calls people names. Your mother's this, you this dog and this and that. That is not cool. That's not being a man. That's none of that. That's weak. That's weak behavior. Well, you got to resort to that kind of nonsense. But unfortunately, Sam Shamoun, as he does, he's a professional bridge burner. He has burnt this bridge as well with George Janko, another one on the hit list, right? He's just going down his burn bridge list. He's burnt numerous bridges and he continues to do it. But this is what we know. This is what we came to know about Sam Shamoun, though. He's a professional bridge burner. Not only that, he's the crash out king, right? He's the first ever crash out king. He is the one, right? When you think about crash out king, Sam Shamoun is the crash out king. And so I'm going to end the video here. You can want to watch the whole deal between Ruslan and George Janko. You can go to Ruslan's channel, and also the link of this video will be in the description of this video. And so overall, I just think this is a disastrous thing when people can't glean from you and people don't want your fruit. When people see you as a complete corrosive individual, when people view you as so disrespectful. And the fact that you don't have the maturity, this is speaking of Sam Shamoun, the fact that you don't have the maturity to be able to conduct yourself in a professional manner and conduct yourself in a way that's pleasing to God and that respects the people around you, says volumes about Sam Shamoun and anyone else that has the same mentality and behavior patterns of Sam Shamoun. It says volumes about you as well. As a believer, as a Christian, we should be making it a point to put all our efforts into not only representing ourselves and our family, but most importantly, representing God when we step out into the open square. If you cannot understand the importance of representing the Lord when you step out into the open square and you converse with not only other Christians, but non-believers as well, if you can't understand that, you stop stepping out in the open square. You go sit your butt down, get off camera, get off YouTube, because technically YouTube is the open square now. It's the digital open square. Get your butt off YouTube. Get your butt off the camera. If you can't conduct yourself in a manner that's glorifying to God, knock it off. Knock it off. Because you're doing no one a service. You're doing no one, you're not giving anyone help. You're doing everyone a disservice. And all this shows is narcissism. You're a narcissist. So it's really unfortunate. And I'm glad that George came out and told us what was going on, because if he never came out and said what was going on, Sam Shamoun would have kept running off at his mouth. Oh, this is why it's not out, and not taking responsibility for his actions. So I am so glad that George Janko came out and told us what happened, what was up. And I believe every word that he said. I believe every word that he said, every last one. Why do I believe it? Because I seen Sam Shamoun's behavior for over 7, 8, 10 years. I seen his behavior, and it's been consistent to where he destroys every single relationship that he has. Every single one. Every single one. And all y'all who are buddy-buddy with Sam Shamoun who are out there, all of y'all out there who are buddy-buddy with Sam Shamoun, he's going to come after you too. He will come after you too, and their relationship will be destroyed as well because of that man. He will burn a bridge with you, and he will attack you. I promise you that. I promise you, without a doubt. Anyway, with all that said, I thank you for watching this video, and I pray that this video will be a blessing to you. And if you've yet to do so, make sure you subscribe to The Gospel Truth and hit that notification bell so that you miss out on any shows that are coming up here in the future. May God bless you, and may God keep you.